All right, we're going to get started. First and foremost, thank you guys all for coming. My name's Ryan Conway. I've been working with the police department for going on 15 years now. Served in a wide variety of facets. First starting out in patrol as an officer, worked as a narcotics investigator, was promoted to sergeant in 2014, served as a SWAT operator, SWAT team leader, and SWAT commander, and just recently got promoted to lieutenant in 2018.
My name is Rob Mirabali. I've been with the Wheaton Police Department a little bit less than that, only 6 years. But in my 6-year time frame, I've had a chance to be in the narcotics unit. I'm part of our training group within the police department. I've been part of the warrant team, and I'm one of the instructors that actually teach rapid deployment, which is a police response to an active shooter, active threat.
So to kind of get started, why we're all here is, what do we do in the response of an active threat, active assailant, active shooter event? And a lot of people probably can sit here and say, they don't know. You know, they don't know what they're going to do. It's a hot button topic today's day and age, and people just want to have this information on what to do in the event of. And currently, you know, we prepare well for a lot of things. We prepare well for, fires. We prepare well for tornadoes, stranger danger, self-defense. What we don't prepare well for is, what are we going to do in the event of an active shooter? And what we are here today to do is give you guys the information to enhance your survivability level in the event of an active shooter. So we're going to start out, and I open this up to everybody, so please blurt out answers and make this as informative as possible and have fun with this. Even though this is a hard topic to talk about and to kind of, to hear and listen to, this is something that, is very informative. I try to have fun with it, so start blurting out answers. What are these students here on the left doing?
Hiding.
Hiding, right? Hiding under a desk, right? What are these students on the right doing?
What does it look like?
Yeah, hard to tell? Okay. Looks like they're sitting down, maybe watching a screen, yeah. What these students on the left are doing is they're hiding under a desk because they're currently conducting a lockdown drill. That's what we're teaching today, is shut the door, hide the window, or guard the windows, and hide under a desk. These are what the students did in Virginia Tech when the shooter was just down the hallway. They put their backs against the door, they faced the screen, and they clumped together. Are they prepared to encounter an active threat right now? No, not a chance. Not a chance. What we always tell people is, in the event of an active threat, in the event of high stress situations, a lot of things are going to happen to your body. You're going to lose the dexterity in your fingers, you're going to have tunnel vision, you're going to have auditory exclusion. You're never going to rise to the level of that event. You're always going to fall back to your training. And currently what we're doing is we're training people to hide under desks. We're training people to stay in one location together, making it easy for the shooter to take more lives. So this is what Virginia Tech did because they've been trained that way. You're always going to fall back to your training. Again, you're never going to rise to that level of stress.
Yeah, no matter if your training is a couple hours or a couple of years, whatever that training is that you have, that's what you're going to revert to. And we preach this because we train as much as we possibly can. And whatever that training is, you're going to revert back to it. And it's unfortunate today, in this day and age, that we have to teach this topic, but this is where we're at right now. And so we're hoping that through this training that you guys are going to be empowered to make a decision for yourself if you ever encounter a situation like this.
So what ALICE is based on science, history, and experience. It's research. There's statistics that have analyzed these tactics that have raised the level of survivability. So it is a proactive approach to an active shooter response. No longer is it just necessary to lock down and hide. We're giving you options. This is an options-based situation that allows you to make a determination of what's best for you as adults under an active shooter situation. We can always, and this is what I always tell people, we can always change a building's infrastructure. We can always add technology to enhance, security devices. But what we can't change and what we can't predict is the human element of what they're going to do and predict their actions in the event of a active shooter. Go ahead.
Ooda Loop real quick?
Yeah.
So One thing that they also talk about is the Ooda Loop, which Lieutenant Colonel Boyd actually talks about that, which is all of us as human beings, we have to, when we have any kind of stimulus, we have to respond to that stimulus. And how we do that is it stands for observe, orient, decide, and act. And as we go through this presentation, you're going to see that, and I'm going to equate this to time equals life. The more time that you can provide us to respond, for you to make a decision, and so forth, the more lives that you will save. And in order to do that, as you'll see later on, disrupting that OODA loop that we all do subconsciously is going to be greatly beneficial to everybody who's involved in this incident.
To kind of touch base on that with what Rob had said, Bill Lewandowski from the Force Science Institute of Chicago, he states that a person can fire a weapon in 0.25 seconds. That's a quarter of a second. Now, during an expected situation, your reaction time is going to take roughly about 0.7 to 0.8 seconds. That's an expected situation. During an unexpected situation, your reaction time is going to take about 1.5 to 1.7 seconds. During these active shooter events, these are normally unexpected situations. So if you take the amount of time that it takes to fire a weapon, which is roughly a quarter of a second, and use that 1.5 seconds during an unexpected situation, 6 rounds can be fired during that time slot. That's a lot of mayhem. That's a lot of catastrophic life being taken during a very short amount of time. So in 2001, Greg Crane, former law enforcement, he came up, his wife was actually a principal at an elementary school. Greg Crane developed what was called lockdown, inform, counter, and evacuate. He presented this format to his wife, the elementary school teacher. She kind of pumped the brakes a little bit and was like, well, I don't know, because if you listen to what that is, lockdown, inform, counter, and evacuate stands for lice. She wasn't feeling comfortable of bringing lice into an elementary school. She didn't think that that would take as kindly towards the parents and students. So what Greg Crane did is he developed the alert portion of this, and he developed Alice. And Alice was basically the first proactive response during an active shooter event. In 2008, Homeland Security developed the 3 outs: get out, hide out, and take out. It's very familiar with like run, hide, fight, or what you hear about today. And that was basically their response, the federal response to an active shooter event. In 2009, the International Association of Chief Police wrote in their document that a proactive response in an active shooter is absolutely necessary. The New York Police Department in 2010 also indicated that a proactive response is necessary during active shooter events, as well as various other entities, federal entities in 2013. And then in 2015, they developed what was a blended approach to an active shooter response, which is exactly what Alice is. It's a blended approach, so it takes an e-learning model, kind of what you're being introduced to today with the presentation, and then also adding scenario-based training to take the information that you have and putting it to use to give you, that stress level to see how you're going to perform each action during a stressful situation.
All these organizations, they came to the same realization, which is essentially, listen, lockdowns are great, but we have to do more than just a lockdown. There has to be multiple options based on whatever the situation is, because not every situation is the same. And because not every situation is the same, not every answer works. And there's got to be different solutions for different issues or situations that you go through. And Alice kind of builds on all these previous organizations and incorporates the best from each to their approach. Currently, Alice's footprint is in all 50 states. They've educated millions throughout the country, over 4,200 schools, over 4,000 law enforcement agencies, 3,000 businesses, 1,300 hospitals, places of worship, universities, and other government facilities. So they're well throughout the country, and it's a growing program. People realize that there is a need for something more than your traditional lockdown, and it applies more than just to schools, because this is happening everywhere, not just in schools, everywhere. The last one in Aurora was at a business. That's on that one. Sorry.
Yeah, currently, Dr. Kyle, who's the assistant state's attorney, the assistant superintendent of District 200, who's in the audience today, District 200 is currently transitioning to Alice in 2019-2020. It will be rolled out the next school year, and it doesn't stop there. our objective, the police department's objective, as well as the school's objective, is to roll this out to the entire community. Currently, we are training City Hall, we're training the library, we're training religious entities, we're training various business entities and health departments as well. So we're opening this up free of charge, and the police department has currently 8 certified instructors, soon to be possibly 10 certified instructors to help assist the community in getting this word out in preparation and preparing yourselves during an active shooter event.
So about 30% of schools are currently teaching Alice, that's great. I mean, we're at 30%, but that's also scary because that means 2/3 are not, which means that more than likely those other 2/3 are still teaching the traditional lockdown method. We have to get away from sitting, turning off the lights, and hoping for the best, because that is not enough. Sitting and hoping for the best is not enough anymore. There has to be some sort of action, and we're going to talk about that.
So true or false statement, it won't happen here. Yeah, it's correct. It's absolutely a false statement. And I will tell you first and foremost, I'm a product of Wheaton. I've grown up here, I've lived here practically my whole life. Went to Weesbrook and Lowell Elementary. Went to middle school at Mariano's, which was Hubble. And then at Wheaton Morville South. Currently live in South Wheaton, also known as Lyle. And now I've been working here for 15 years. So I've grown up here, and now being in law enforcement, never would have expected to do or see the things that I've done or seen. So to say that it can't happen here is absolutely false. The same can be said for those in Littleton, Colorado, Aurora, Colorado. The list goes on and on. They've all said it. I didn't think it would ever happen here. And my objective here is not to keep you guys in hypervigilance and constantly afraid of the world. I want you guys to feel empowered and prepared in case these events occur.
Wheaton's a great city to live for. It's a safe city, but you know what? You have to get out of that mindset that it can't happen here or it won't happen here. We have numerous religious entities throughout the city. We have Wheaton College, which is a world-renowned Christian college. There's plenty of points of interest in the city that if somebody wanted to target, they could. So as safe as the city is, you can't get in that habit. Well, that can't happen here. You have to get out of that frame of mind.
So another true or false statement, it takes a long time to hurt a lot of people. No. Yeah, it's absolutely false. Ron Borsch, who is head of the SEAL Academy in Ohio, he wrote what was called the Stopwatch of Death, which is a research document based upon the active shooter events that have occurred in America. And he documents that a shot is fired in these events every 4 to 15 seconds. Furthermore, the shooters are receiving about a 50 to 70% hit rate during these events, and a 1-to-1 ratio killed to wounded. So if we break that down even further, how long do you guys think it takes from sign of danger to call 911? So just sign of danger for a person to call 911, what is the time frame do you think it takes?
A couple of minutes. Maybe.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, it takes about approximately 2 to 3 minutes. Now, what do you think it takes for the actual dispatcher to gain the information from the caller? 10 minutes. No, it might seem like 10 minutes. They're trained, so they know. It takes about approximately 1 minute. So break it down even further. What do you think, on average, the police response time, not the Wheaton Police Department, but on average in America, what do you think the average response time is?
5 minutes.
Yeah, correct. It is 5 minutes. I will tell you, having done this, for the majority of emergency events, we documented during emergency events, the Wheaton Police Department's response time is about 1 minute to 1 minute and 15 seconds. And that's during an extreme emergency. So we're well above average in America, but we're going to use the 5 minutes of the average time for America. So let's take that 2 minutes from sign of danger to call 911. 1 minute for the dispatcher to gain the caller's information and what's going on. 5 minutes for the actual police to respond. That's 8 minutes, okay? Now we're going to use the low end of this and say a shot is fired every 15 seconds. So that's 4 rounds in a minute, right? So let's take that 4 rounds and multiply that by 8. And no one thought they were going to do math today. That's 32, right? So now we will use the 50% ratio and divide everything by 2. We get 16. The 1-to-1 ratio in that is 8 injured, 8 dead in 8 minutes. That's not a lot of time for a lot of havoc to be done and a lot of lives to be lost.
This is the very low end of the scale. It's going to be much more than that. in a real life situation. Absolutely low end of the scale.
So we're going to break it down a little bit even further, and these are going to pop up, and I'll tell you the differences. Is Columbine, 24 injured, 13 dead, 49 minutes. Virginia Tech, 25 injured, 32 dead, 11 minutes. Sandy Hook, 2 injured, 26 dead, 5 minutes. Century, which is Aurora, Colorado, 58 injured, 12 dead, less than 5 minutes. Fort Hood, 31 injured, 13 dead, 10 minutes. Charleston Emmanuel AME, 1 injured, 9 dead, less than 6 minutes. The Gabby Gifford incident, 13 injured, 6 dead, less than 2 minutes. Pine Lake Health and Rehab Center, 4 injured, 8 dead, less than 7 minutes. And then Chardon High School, 3 injured, 3 dead, less than 1 minute. So what sticks out in you in that?
You're getting shorter and shorter.
Yeah, exactly. So what probably spiked that was Columbine, right? 49 minutes. Wow, that's a long time. What changed? Yeah, absolutely. Our response to an active shooter event. What we used to do was surround and call out during those situations. So when we had an active shooter event, we would surround and treat it like what we would treat a hostage barricade right now, and try to call that aggressor out and take them into custody. That is no longer the case. What you see our response now is we are immediately, sometimes one officer is going in immediately to try to eliminate that threat, to try to negate the amount of lives that are being lost in that amount of time. So you're not seeing those 49 minutes anymore. You're seeing a lot less time, and hopefully that is causing a lot less lives to be taken during those times. So we're going to move on. The difference between passive and proactive response. This is Virginia Tech. This is exactly what happened, and I'm going to warn everybody here. This is extremely hard to listen to. This is extremely hard for even me to stand up here and talk about. But this is exactly what happened, and I think it's important for people to understand what the difference is between a proactive and passive response. And furthermore, when I refer to shooters in these events, that's what you're going to hear. You're not going to hear me discuss these people by name. I don't believe that they should be martyred. I don't believe that they should be identified. They're cowards in my opinion, so you'll hear me say shooter, aggressor, assailant, something along those lines. They will never have a name in my opinion. So what this shooter did is he entered room 206 first, went over to room 207, over to 205, 211, back to 207, 211, room 204, 206, and finished off in 211. So the shooter enters in room 206. He immediately executes the professor and begins shooting students as they're trying to hide under the desk. Moves over to room 207. Again, immediately executes the professor, starts shooting students who some are trying to run and hiding under the desk. Now in room 205, they heard all this chaos that's occurring in room 206 and 207. And they confirmed what they are hearing are gunshots. So what they decided to do is barricade that door. Now it's an inward swinging door. So in order to fortify that door, you need to physically hold that door shut because that can be pushed open. So 3 students decided to push that door together and not allow that shooter to enter the door. So what the shooter did is he pushed, couldn't gain access. He shot the handle 3 times. The bullets flying past each student, not striking anybody. He tried to push the door again. He was unable to gain access. He never returned to that classroom. Everybody survived. He runs over to 211. In room 211, he's confronted by a brave young man named Matthew Laporte. Matthew Laporte takes it upon himself to try to tackle this shooter. Matthew Laporte was unfortunately shot 6 times before he could get access. He could get to the shooter. The shooter then starts taking more lives as students start hiding under the desks, and then he proceeds to room 207. Now 207, they had already been in there. They decide, some of them injured, some of them not. They decide they're now going to fortify that door. They're going to barricade that door again, inward swinging. So they hold themselves up against that door, and the shooter again pushes against that door, can't gain access, shoots the door handle off, hitting no students, tries to push the door open again. He can't, so he leaves and never returns. And that's what you see, 5 dead, 6 injured, 2 not injured. He then proceeds back to 211, continuing to shoot students as they hide under the desk. Then he heads to room 204. Now room 204 is occupied by Professor Librescu. Professor Librescu was an Auschwitz survivor. So he's already been through it. He's already seen the worst of the worst, and he decides, I'm not going to be a victim again. I'm not going to allow my students to be victims. And he instructs his students to jump out the second-story window while he holds the door shut. So as the shooter approaches the door, he pushes the door, can't gain access, so he shoots through the door, striking Professor Librescu non-fatally. He's able to gain access through the door now, executing Professor Librescu. One student was trying to make it out the window at that time, and he unfortunately couldn't, and he was shot and killed. Everyone else survived. And the 3 that you see injured was a result of the fall. So some of them broke their legs, their arms, what have you. But everyone else, they all survived. The 2 did not. He then heads back over to 206. Again, students continue to hide under the desks and hide in various locations as he starts taking more lives. He then goes back to 211, where investigators believe he then executes the brave young man, Matthew Laporte, and then the shooter cowardly takes his own life. Again, this is extremely hard to talk about. It's probably extremely hard to listen to. But these are the events, and this is the difference between taking a passive response and a proactive one. How many lives were lost? How many lives were saved because they took a proactive response?
In case you guys can't read this, let me show you. Room 206, there's 14 students. This is a passive approach. 10 of them died, 2 of them were injured, and 2 survived. 2 were not injured. In 211, we had 19 students. 12 of them died. 6 of them were injured. Only 1 was not injured. In 207, we have 13 students. 5 of them dead, 6 of them injured, 2 of them not injured. And then we go to the 2 rooms who decided to take some sort of a proactive approach to this, realize that we can't just sit, we can't just do nothing, we can't hope for the best. We have to do something. And whatever that something is going to be a decision that you make, and hopefully this training today helps you do that. But in 204, 14 students, of the 19 students, 14 were not injured. 3 were injured, and like we talked about, were jumping out the window. I'll take a broken leg all day to dying. And then 2 were killed. In 205, of the 12 students, 12 survived. Okay? These shooters, when they come in, they come in with one purpose, to create as much carnage as they can in as quick a time as possible. And so by barricading the door, you're frustrating that shooter. And if that shooter can't get into that room, he's not going to waste too much time, and I say he, but it can be anyone. They're not going to waste too much time at that one particular door because they're not fulfilling their purpose. They're going to move somewhere else and try somewhere else. So a proactive approach, doing that, you're not letting them fulfill their goal.
So what else is, it's a proactive approach, and it provides additional options past just what we're currently doing, which is locking down. This is not sequential. So when we talk about ALICE, what it stands for, alert, lockdown, inform, counter, and evacuate, you don't have to go A-L-I-C-E. No, you're going based upon what is best for you under the circumstances that you currently know. So if somebody were to enter this room right now, our best option probably isn't going to be locking down, right? Our best option is either going to be A, evacuate, or B, countering this person and taking back control. Now, if we get information that that person is down the hallway some ways and he might be coming this way, our best approach might now be to lock down. However, if we can evacuate, by all means, let's evacuate. We need to have these options because it's showing statistically that it is saving lives by having these options and empowering people to make a decision based upon what's best for them under these circumstances. So what A is, it's an alert. An alert can often be whatever. It's a PA announcement. It could be a cell phone message. It could be a text message. You could hear something over the radio, people screaming, people yelling. The Wheaton Police Department gets their information from the Wheaton Moms group on Facebook. So it could be anything that is giving you notice that something is occurring right now. So if I were to come in here and you were to hear, man with a gun, front lobby, what is going on? That is giving you guys information exactly the who, the what, and the where. That is an alert. Who, what, and the where. Now I hope nobody's running upstairs because that would be a headache right now if they heard that. But that is exactly what we are looking for when we're talking about alert. And that can come from anything. People yelling, people screaming, the gunshot itself. And as long as we're getting that information out there, we're now starting that process for people to make a decision.
What's one of the most important things about an alert is you have to use all your senses, right? The smell of gun smoke can be an alert. But more importantly is you have to take that alert seriously. You have to get out of that living in a little bit of denial when it comes to this and say, you know what, it could be that. I get that it may not happen here, but it could be that. Virginia Tech, they didn't take that alert seriously. I don't want to speak because I wasn't there, but it looks like they didn't take that alert seriously. Those aren't gunshots. Those could be something else. No, that can't happen here. That's not what happened. And because they didn't take that alert, there was no action based on that.
So we always say, use plain English. If I were to come in here and you were to hear over the overhead, code red, code silver, code blue, what have you, would you guys all know what that means? No, as a visitor of somewhere or being someplace, using plain English is always the proper way to get an alert out. If you just say, like I just gave you the example, man with a gun, front lobby, man with a gun, front lobby, I guarantee you everybody knows what that means. And furthermore, if we're talking professionally in business entities, schools, health professionals, if they were not to give you an alert that it's in plain English for you guys to understand, could they be held negligent? Yes, absolutely they could, because now they are putting you in a place of danger without giving you the proper notification that something bad is happening, and that could lead for you guys to get injured.
Yeah, we're moving away from code words and code things altogether. We actually have a new program going in where it's very plain English heavy. And not everyone gets the same kind of training. Not everybody here is a Wheaton Library member, so they all don't know what a code silver would mean. So we have to use plain English so nobody is mistaken and everybody is alerted that something is going on, and we know who, what, and where it is. And based on that information, what is our best option at that point? Because like Lieutenant Conway said, if I have an issue, let's say we have an active shooter across the street, well, it's probably best that we evacuate. We have the time to do it, let's evacuate. If I have an active shooter walking into the room, I can't lock down, I can't evacuate, maybe counter's the best option in this case. So it's all about getting that alert, and based on that alert, making a decision.
So I want you guys to watch this video. This is from North Logan, Utah in 2014. Subject had entered an ER. And I want you guys to kind of mark the time and see when the alert actually occurred, okay?
I can hear you. Keep talking. No. Everybody here. Please. Anyone else? I can hear you. Keep talking. What? What do you want? What? What?
Cold silver in the ER. Cold silver in the ER.
How long did it take for that alert to come out?
1 minute after the man came out.
Yeah, 1 minute and 30 seconds for the actual code silver to be, to come out over the intercom. Would everybody know if they were walking into that waiting room in the ER, what is code silver? I mean, what would that mean to you? I don't know. We're going into a medical facility, so Lord only knows what a code silver means. And let alone, it took 1 minute and 30 seconds for that alert to come out. We've already went over the statistics in the Stopwatch of Death. We're seeing that a shot can be fired every 4 to 15 seconds during these active shooter events. So using that low end in that minute and 30, that's 6 shots being fired. And a 50% hit rate, we're looking at 3 people being injured, or possibly dead. So that's a lot of havoc in a very short period of time that you're not giving a proper notification to for people that are probably entering your facility. So we absolutely, recommend using that plain English model of just saying what is going on, where is this going on, and what is happening. So if you just say man with a gun, front lobby, man with a gun, front lobby, everybody knows what they are talking about in that circumstance.
A minute and 30 seconds, right? And there's somebody in the front lobby that's witnessing this going on. And it still takes that long to relay that information and get it out. How much longer would it take in a different situation where maybe an employee is not present and they don't see it happening? And then if I'm there at the hospital, I hear a code silver, I'm like, okay, it's not a code red, so it can't be that bad, right? Not knowing that a code silver is probably the worst call that you can get, I don't know. So nobody knows what's going on, and even some of the staff is probably like,
I think we heard it in there. What's a code silver?
What's a code silver?
Yeah.
Let me go back to my cheat book from when I was hired. Like, we want to get away from that. We want everybody to be informed.
Well, at the hospital, code silver used to be an elderly patient walking around.
A silver alert to us means that we have a missing elderly.
But then
So, yes.
they would say over the loudspeaker, man with a gun, and
That would be my recommendation too. Yes, that is our recommendation as we are teaching this to different business entities, health professionals, to use that plain English model, because not everyone is going to be, that's great if your staff is currently up to date on the policies and procedures, but some of your staff might not even know, and are they interim staff? I mean, you see schools, they have a lot of substitutes. Do they know what's going on? If we just use plain English everywhere, everyone knows what's going on, and that's giving everybody the chance of survival.
and at the hospital, they never posted,
Right.
those
And who's got time to look at that sort of stuff? And who looks at that sort of stuff? Nobody. And that's why we say that plain English model is by far, in a way, the best model to utilize.
Patients don't look at what the codes mean, right?
No.
Not at all.
Yes, sir.
There's a factor that maybe you're gonna talk about this, is how do you decide, is this a situation that you can defuse by talking to the person?
I would recommend not talking to the person because we can't predict that human element. Yeah, just because somebody is there and you might, not perceive it as harmful at this time doesn't mean it can't transpire to being a harmful act. So if you're empowered to make these decisions, and we're trying to make sure everyone is empowered to make these decisions, I'd rather you be safe than sorry, because what we are here for as a police entity is to help you guys not make that determination. That's what we're here for. So if you say, I got a guy, an aggressor, it's time to go. You don't know what this guy's about, and I'm going to play a different video to kind of see, what you guys would want to hear as an alert. So I would recommend not trying to talk somebody down, because that's not what you're trained for. So if this does go to an active, aggressive manner, are you prepared to handle that? Probably not, especially if he's got a weapon or a firearm.
We can always respond and talk to him and figure it out, but you're better safe than sorry. Your job, you're alerted by something. Something is giving you that alert, right? Go ahead and inform everyone else of that alert. We'll get informed as well. We can help address that issue.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, how do you prevent people from going crazy and trampling over each other?
Yeah,
Let's
and
say
that's,
you were in an opera
yes,
house
and
or-
we'll
Yeah.
touch base on that when we start talking about evacuation and stuff along those lines. So we'll if we can, we'll just wait until we get to that portion. So can I get a volunteer? Yes, sir. Yep. You don't have to stand up. You can actually probably just. So I'm gonna play a different vantage point of the same video you just watched. So you're gonna get the lobby portion of what had just happened at North Logan, Utah. So here is that lobby portion, and let's say you're seated in that receptionist area, okay? I want you to give an alert of what you would want to hear of what's going on and give it to the rest of the crowd. Make sense? Sure. Okay. You ready? Right. Perfect.
Man with a gun in the lobby. Guy's got a firearm.
Good. Good.
Two, actually.
Good.
What else would you give? What other information would you want to
So
give?
now you're getting yourself to a place of safety, and let's say you still have eyes on this guy. What else can you be telling them?
Oh, description?
Yeah, there you go. Give it. Yeah.
Oh, man with a beard, 2 firearms, black shirt, long pants, sunglasses, help. Let's get out
Good.
of that,
What's he doing?
Oh, he's looking for someone at reception, I think.
Yes.
He's agitated.
Good. Good.
It looks like it.
Anybody else? Would they add anything? Yeah, man with a gun, front lobby. Man with a gun, front lobby. Now you can get yourself to a place of safety. If you have the ability to continue watching this guy, you're adding information to what is going on currently. So you could say, He's male white, blue jeans, black shirt, goatee. Male white, blue jeans, black shirt, goatee. And this is part of the inform phase, which we're also going to touch base on. But you're giving more information, again, empowering people to make the best decision for them at the time. So now as you're giving this information, if something changes, all right, he's walking north towards, the southwest door, north toward whatever, the south towards the southwest door, door 5 or whatever the case may be. People that were coming towards door 5 that were thinking, I was going to try to evacuate, you might be changing their mindset and saying, he's too close, I have to leave. So now you see he tried to jump over the counter over there, and he was encountered by police and fortunately apprehended.
Is this
so-
real?
This is real.
Yeah.
Yes.
So isn't somebody supposed to be watching this video footage?
What's that? Some places have mobile access, so if we can pull it up on a cell phone, something along those lines. This is that front lobby. Not all surveillance cameras are being watched 24 hours a day. So in some of them we'll have either law enforcement or somebody else access to them in real time, whether it be via mobile app or computer or something along those lines.
Yeah, in a situation like this, expect anything that can go wrong will go wrong, right? Don't rely on anything to work. Don't rely on somebody to be watching the computer monitors at all time. We all have to be empowered to make a decision and to be confident in that decision when we inform others of something that we were alerted to. And don't worry about informing others, and we'll talk about this, but the bad guy already knows what he's doing, right? You don't have to worry about saying what the bad guy's doing over a PA system or to somebody else. He knows it. Nothing is a surprise to him. If anything, you'll just frustrate that person. So when we lock down, if we decide that lockdown is the best approach, all right, we want to get away from the conventional method, turn off the lights, we're all going to huddle in a quarter, and we're going to hope for the best. Okay? I talk about time is life. Well, movement creates time. So therefore, also moving is life, and doing something will save lives. When we do this, you want to barricade the door, and we're actually going to get into barricading the door in a minute, but the limit is your imagination on this, okay, right? I don't need to just put one chair in front of the door and I think we're good. No, that's not going to work, right? I'm going to take every chair in this room, everything I can find on an inward opening door. I'm going to barricade this door as much as I can. I'm going to tie off the door, and I'm going to do what I need to do. So we'll talk about how you can do that, some simple techniques to do that, but I am using everything available to me at the time. I want heavy objects. I want things that can be used to tie up other things. In this facility, I know I have extension cords. Half of you have belts on. Perfect tools to use for barricading a door in one form or another. Once we get a barricade on the door, we want to spread out within the room. The reason for this is very simple. If an active shooter, active aggressor makes his way, somehow gets into the room, if everybody is huddled in one corner, how easy is it for that person to just start shooting? Very easy. The death toll will be very high. Nobody's moving, everybody's huddling, and they don't even have to aim in any form or fashion. They can just start shooting. So they're accomplishing their goal, which is to create as high a casualty as possible in a short amount of time as possible. Now, if we change that and we all were to spread out within the room, now this shooter that comes in, I got people everywhere. I got to select a target. Now I have to aim because they're not in a group. I have to get my stance. I have to grab the gun. I have to pull the trigger. All these things are creating time. They're making him go through some sort of a Ooda Loop process, and they have to decide on a specific individual, and that is creating time. They're less likely to hit you because they have to aim, and it takes longer to do it. Obviously, if you're able to, at any point, one of the best things and what we teach here is evacuation. If at all possible, it's the preferred method, evacuating when it's safe to do so, but sometimes it's not an option. But if it is an option after we barricade or we lock down and we got another exit or he comes in, we're able to get out, we're going to do that. And then don't assume that somebody's calling 911. If everybody assumes that somebody's calling 911, no one's going to call 911. We're not going to know. We'll eventually find out that it's happening, but we may have the wrong information. We may have the wrong location. We may have all kinds of wrong information. So we want to make sure that somebody's dialing 911. So don't take that for granted. And then if the facility has first aid supplies, know where that's at. Know what it's in it. Ask somebody. If you work there, you should know. We talked about the death toll. We talked about some of the things that happen here. But us as human beings, and we see it firsthand, we're extremely resilient. We can survive large amounts of trauma and be okay. okay? The only thing that you have to worry about is stopping the bleed, and Lieutenant Conway will talk about that in a little bit, but you will survive. But there is a mental challenge to this that you have to go into this knowing that you will survive, okay? And when you move, when you're doing something, when you're moving around, when there's a distraction, when you're not just sitting and just waiting, your chances of survival increase dramatically. The chances that you aren't hit fatally increase dramatically. You get hit in some sort of a limb, overwhelming odds that you're going to survive that. Overwhelming.
Yeah, the medical advancements of today's day and age, I mean, if you're able to get to a trauma center and what we call a critical hour, chances of your survivability are extremely, extremely high. Rob touched base on the Stop the Bleed. And I think currently, and Doctor, tell me, I think you guys said you have 400 people that are certified in Stop the Bleed in the school districts today? Probably, okay. So, and that's awesome. So, kudos to them, and what Stop the Bleed is in these events, you guys are actually the first responders, because you guys can actually start that life-saving process if you know what to do. And there are Stop the Bleed programs that are out there, and currently we have 3 certified instructors in Stop the Bleed, and we are currently possibly thinking about opening up to the community of getting people instructed in Stop the Bleed, use of tourniquets, use of bandages and gauze, and really begin that critical hour of life-saving measures until help can arrive and get you transported to a trauma center.
Well, can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
What are the chances of someone's body going into shock once they've been shot?
Well, there's a very high chance, but that usually, like you said, within the first hour, right? That first hour is where medical treatment is necessary, especially if you're injured. We're not medical professionals in regards to when somebody will go into shock for what particular situation, but it happens. Mm-hmm. But if you're getting medical treatment within that first hour, like I said, part of this is a mental game. You will survive it, okay? This is not meant to be scary. This is meant to be informative and meant to be empowering. But you have to go into that with that kind of a mindset. We do it all the time. SWAT operators, they do it all the time, knowing that they're going to walk into a room where there's a barricaded gunman and they're going to get shot. They already have it in their head that they're going to get shot, but they also have it in their head that they're going to survive after getting shot, and overwhelmingly, that happens as well.
So we talk about different things that you're going to see. Different doors. I mean, we've probably all seen these types of doors, whether they be in businesses, classrooms, wherever that you go. So you have some that are outward swinging, inward swinging with a lot of windows, outward swinging with a major window, a lot of windows, inward swinging, and then some doors that don't have any doors. So when you walk into rooms, it's good to be prepared to understand, how can you fortify these doors? How can you barricade these doors? If you look up at these doors, the easiest thing to do is fortifying these apertures right here. If you were to tie a belt around those apertures and, really, cinch that belt tight, you're probably going to ruin your belt. So, if it's one of those belts that you love, you might want. But think about what you can use. You have all kinds of computer cords. No one's, so in these events, everything is fair game. No one's going to come after you for damage to property, the complaint warrant or anything like that because you broke a computer while trying to save, 15 lives. No one's going to do that. So get creative with that. If you were to use a fire hose sleeve and just put it over that aperture, that door is entirely barricaded, fortified. A shooter will not be able to enter that door. Most importantly, be able to control that door handle. If you're wrapping a belt or a cord around that door handle and you're just hiding behind that wall, most people are going to think, well, the shooter's just going to shoot that wall. They're not here to spend a lot of time trying to get through these doors. And you saw in Virginia Tech, the second he really couldn't get through, he shot 2 or 3 times, tried to get through again, then he didn't try again. Once he realized that door is fortified, that door is barricaded, he left. And then he never came back to that room because they're just trying to create as much havoc and lives lost in a short period of time because they know who's coming. They know we are coming, and they don't want to face us. 90% of the time, they take their own lives before we even get here. So the more time we can create by barricading ourselves and making it extremely difficult for this shooter to make entry and take lives, the better odds we have of that person taking more himself or us getting on scene and being able to do the job for him.
The great thing about Alice is it's easy to remember. It's it's a common sense approach, okay? If I have a room with no doors, I probably not a good idea to lock down in that room, right? I know that I need to evacuate to either a different place to lock down or use a different method. I know that lockdown is not going to work. So, but I know that I have an option because that's important. You have to know that you have options because you're going to revert back to whatever training that you get, whether it's a school or the business and so forth. If I have a glass door, this is, real life, right? Bullets will go through glass, bullets will go through a door, bullets will go through the wall. Unless there's some steel in there or some concrete or something, it's going to go through that. So it's a glass door. I have to make sure that I fortify as best as I can if I'm staying in that room. We talked about outward opening doors. Those hinges are perfect. And a lot of businesses now, even our park district is coming up with Alice packages that have used fire hose sleeves in there for that particular reason, and other medical equipment and things that they can use in an event like this. And then, of course, an inward opening door, I know that barricading is the best option, and I'm going to barricade that door and fortify it as much as I can if time permits.
So we talk about can glass be defeated? It can, and it has. In Columbine, you see that these doors were actually unlocked, but the shooters decided that they still shot through the doors and gained access through the glass. Sandy Hook, we all know that the shooter gained access through shooting the glass out the windows. Hastings Middle School, the shooter actually shot through one of the glass classrooms to gain access. Unfortunately, fortunately for us, he was not able to take any lives because he loaded the wrong ammunition in his weapon. So he wasn't able to get the desired result that he wanted. And then in Red Lake, the shooter shot through 3 classrooms to gain access into each one.
And Lieutenant Conway makes a good point. The shooter loaded the wrong ammunition. Don't go into anything. Don't think that these people are professionals, right? That they're trained killers and that they know what they're doing. They jam up their guns where they can't get them to be used at all. They load in the wrong ammunition. They have to research how to do these things. They are not professionals. They are not trained killers, all right? They're amateurs. And when we talk about moving around and creating a disruption in that Ooda Loop, they are going to miss their target if you're moving. The reason why you saw that 1-to-1 ratio and that 1-to-1 kill and the 50% to 70% hit is because there's no stimulus. Students are sitting there. They are just waiting, and they're just huddled, and so they can go right up and, I'm sorry that this is graphic, but they just shoot them in the head or in a vital area in their upper body, and it's not hard for them. That's why you're seeing that. It's not that they're good. It's that there's no movement, and it's easy for them.
They're like sitting ducks.
Sitting
Yes,
ducks.
That's exactly what they are. And we talk even further of, if I were to ask everybody here right now, how would you, if you were forced to break a window, how would you break that window? Throw a chair in the middle of it? Yeah, actually, windows are made to absorb, that deflection through the middle of glass. So actually throwing it through the middle of the window is just going to bounce right back at you. It's the 4 corners that you want to utilize, taking a sharp object and being able to punch through that window so the glass can be defeated rather easily, and then even more so, raking around that if you need to, so you're not getting shards of glass in a femoral artery or something like that, then you have a different problem on your hands, in order to defeat that glass. An easy result of that, and actually something that we've come to utilize, is a window punch. These are literally available online for what, $3 to $5? And we bought them for all our officers. I'll pass them around, but they're extremely. Do you have yours?
No.
Oh, okay.
Wrong vest.
No, we'll pass it around, but it's extremely efficient because we noticed that the only thing we were using our nightsticks for was breaking car windows. So this is a little bit easier to carry around. I just put it in my pocket,
How do you use it?
Oh yeah, so even better. So you literally put it up against the glass window, pull, and let it snap. And I guarantee that glass will break each and every time, and we'll just fall to the ground. Rake around it so nobody gets injured, and you can get out that window rather easily.
It's great for safety glass too, and this can apply to situations outside of what we're talking about, even if you're in a vehicle and there's an emergency of some kind. Having one of these, for as cheap as it is a great tool to have in an event that something were to happen, you need to get out of a window. And we mentioned the raking around the glass because something like that has happened before where people injure themselves badly on leftover glass.
So we talk about barricading yourselves and what's good and not great. And these are good, but what do you see? What is this door? How does that door open?
Can you guys see that?
Yeah, it opens out. So what's going to happen to all those chairs? Yeah, so you're creating good obstacles. So these are good obstacles to create, but these aren't barricading. You're not fortifying the door. So that's why I said these are good, but not great. And then on the right, that door is inward swinging, right? Is that bookshelf going to be heavy enough to, fortify that door? What's that? Yeah, exactly. Hopefully there's like a wall parallel to it, and it'll just, barricade that door shut. But that's not the case. That bookshelf's just going to fall right to the ground. Again, you're creating an obstacle. You're creating some time. These are good, not great. We really need to focus on controlling those apertures and controlling that doorknob and being able to fortify that door successfully.
Another great way to barricade this particular door where it opens outward is these chairs you unfortunately can't do it with, but a lot of chairs have just the 4 legs. And you can actually put one of the legs through the door handle across on an angle, and it will lock in the door. And it's a very effective way, very quick way, of barricading that door. And I'm telling you right now, an active aggressor is not going to spend all day trying to get into that room. They're going to move on. And it's not like the movies where, one shot and they shoot out the door handle, it falls out and the door swings open. This is real life. It doesn't work that way. So,
and we talked about, utilizing of heavy objects. This was in Kent State University. A student, there was an active assailant in the near vicinity. The teacher had instructed them to lock down and hide. Well, this student had just gone through Alice training the night prior, the night of, and said, no way. And you can kind of see it here. He controls that aperture, barricades that. He has all kinds of tables and everything along those lines to create better obstacles, but more so he ties off the door handle to make this door entirely fortified, nobody gaining access. The best quote of this is that this student said, the best thing that I learned about Alice is that I can use Alice 1 hour after learning it. And that is a great quote because that's exactly what he did. He didn't take the professor's word just saying, hey, this is what I need to do. He knew what he needed to do. And he empowered himself to make the best decision and probably saved everybody's life within that class.
That professor said, you know what, let's lock down. He says, no, lockdown is not good enough. We need to barricade this door, which is absolutely the right call because, like we said, the day and age of just sitting and hoping for the best, that's behind us. So we talked about this already. There's a great example right there of tying off that hinge so that the door will not open. Luckily, most places, if it's an exit door, it's locked from the outside and they can't make entry. But the goal of this is, they're thinking outside of the box. It's important. Use all the tools available to you. Nothing is off limits. I'm telling you, in a life or death situation, you can, whatever rule, we can't do that, it's against the rule. We're supposed to just lock down. Get out of that frame of thinking. Lives are on the line. Utilize the things that you have and make a decision that's best for you. And if you're with others, that's best for them as well.
So we talk about the inform and then being a continuation of an alert. So when you heard the alert, man with the gun front lobby, man with the gun front lobby, you heard the who, the what, and the where at that point. And what the inform is, you're adding the how and more so where are they going and a continuation of what is going on. Currently now mitigating lives being lost and probably changing people's behaviors and letting them make the appropriate decision based upon what information they are gathering at this time. So you're allowing this again through PA announcements, through just plain English, radio speak, text messages, however messaging system you can get this information across. You're giving people that information to make what's best for them. Like what I said before is, as that person starts going down the hallway, okay, they're going down the 200 block hallway, going towards the southwest door number 5. You're now saying, okay, well, people at door number 5 are saying, well, that guy's too close. I need to barricade myself. Or then people that are further away are saying, you know what, I can get out of here now and get myself to a place of safety. And that's what's really great about the informed part of it is you're adding that information and possibly changing people's perspectives of what's going on right now. And allowing them to make the best decision for themselves.
As many different ways as you can get to inform somebody, it's good to have those in your tool belt. So we have employees who say, we all have live feeds to a camera system. Don't expect that to work in a situation like this. First off, it's technology, right? Technology is not all that reliable. Also, if everybody gets on it at the same time, it may bog it down. So my point is, don't expect one method to always work and don't put all your eggs in one basket. we're in an age of technology where there's a lot of different resources, a lot of different apps out there. There's a lot of great emergency group message apps where you can relate to everybody at once, necessary information related to informing. Not to be abused as a just, hey, let's all group message on this. For emergency-only purposes, there are a lot of great ones out there, and it's something to consider in your organization if you want everybody alerted at the same time with up-to-date information, with all the same information. We've been asked, should we pull a fire alarm? And our answer, our consensus on that is no. And the reason being is, one, obviously it's not a fire, right? In the building, if a fire alarm goes off, everyone is going to treat it like a fire alarm. We're going to evacuate orderly, and we could be walking directly into the path of the shooter. Two, the police department is responding, thinking that it's a fire, with the fire department, and treating it as such, right? We don't have the information that we need to make the decisions that we need to make at the time. Three, with the fire alarm going off, it's going to be so loud in here that you guys are not going to be able to, it's going to be very hard to inform other people of what's actually happening. Now, keep in mind though, and it's something to consider, that when you shoot a firearm, it creates smoke, dust, gunpowder. It creates, let's call it smoke, right? And that smoke can set off the fire alarm too. So it may go off inadvertently, and we may have that wrong information, which also goes back to we need to make sure that people are calling 911 so that we know what we're going to, and so that we can get there as fast as we can possibly get there and do what we need to do.
Yeah, touch on that. I said it right from the get-go, we're going to fall back to our level of training. And throughout our entire lives, what is the sound of a fire alarm meant to us? Get out, right? Fire, get out. So now you're giving one option to people at that time, and that might not be the best option for them at that time. So they're thinking, okay, this is a fire, not an active threat, not an active shooter. I need to leave, and we might be putting them in a place of danger at that time. Furthermore, they're not going to hear more information coming. This informed section of it, they're not going to hear that information of anything going off, because what happens when you pull that fire alarm? You could have sprinklers, you could have loud noises, everything, lights going off. You're gonna miss that. Like I said before, you're gonna have auditory exclusion. You're gonna have tunnel vision during levels of high stress. So those things are gonna deteriorate, and you're probably not gonna get an actual informed that's gonna allow you to make the best decision for you at this time. You are a play-by-play announcer if you have that ability. Rob talked about security devices, surveillance cameras, things along those lines, and that's great. Stoneman Douglas was probably a prime example of this, where what was the delay in Stoneman Douglas? Like 15, 20 minutes or something like that, where officers were believing that shooter was in a hallway, and he was long gone. He was like 2 miles away at that time, so they're thinking they're going to encounter this shooter in this hallway, and they almost had a blue-on-blue experience because they're coming to a certain intersection, and they're encountering each other, not the actual shooter, because they didn't actually have those cameras in real time. It's actually delayed. So, and that's good information to know. It's actually needed information to know. Yeah,
if you work at a business or whatever facility and they have cameras and you're able to access them, make sure that you do ask if this is a live feed or a delayed feed, because that is important. It's important for not only us, but for everyone else who is being informed by this information, because it could be inaccurate and it could lead you to walking in the path of that particular person.
So we talk about next what is counter. What counter is not, it's not fighting. It's exactly what it says. It's taking back control and being able to thwart the aggressor from taking lives. This is absolutely a personal choice, and it is age appropriate. I would not expect a 7th grader or below to be able to perform an act of swarm or anything along those lines. But what are some things that children can do that can be considered countering? Well, all children, how many people have children? How many children are disruptive? Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. I got a 5-year-old at home, and she's extremely disruptive. So, I know that. Her teachers tell me that. So, can they yell? Can they scream? Yeah, they're extremely good at that. Does that offer an Ooda Loop disruption? Absolutely, it does. And we talk about that: observe, orient, decide, and act. Does that distract them? Yeah, absolutely, it does. Can kids throw things? How many of your kids throw things? Yeah, let's be honest. Come on, some hands that weren't raised yet. Yeah, all kids throw things. They throw things when they shouldn't, so these are things that they can perform. And it's having these conversations with them of what they can do in, when these events occur in relation, in an understanding manner, too age specific. So again, if you decide to counter, if you decide to swarm, go for the gun hand. Don't go for, if I were to go at Rob and Rob's my assailant, I'm not going to go at Rob at the leg, because what can he just do? And fire around at me, right? I'm going to go, if I'm the first one, I'm going to go for that gun hand. And then hopefully people see this, and then more can latch on to the other limbs that are available at that time. So let's say I do this to Rob, and the gun falls, Rob falls, and the gun's now out of his hands. What should we do at that time? Kick it away. Great answer. Great answer. Absolutely. I get you a hearty handshake on that. Yeah. Why? Why is that important? He can't get it, number one, so we shouldn't pick it up and point it at him, right?
You
No.
got mistaken as the shooter.
Exactly. Let's get a high five. Yeah. That's exactly what we don't want. We don't want someone getting confused as a shooter, because who's coming to these events? We are. What are we looking for? A man with a gun, or a person with a gun. And unfortunately, if you pick up that gun, could you be mistaken as a shooter? Yeah, we don't want that circumstance. Yeah, exactly. So you hit it right on the head. If you can kick it out of the way, great. If there's a garbage can in a specific location, dump it in a garbage can, or just cover it in a garbage can and drag it out of the way. What we don't want is that confusion of you thinking what's right, of just maintaining presence over that person, with a firearm being mistaken for the actual shooter. And more so, continue holding on to those limbs until we arrive and we can actually take that person into custody.
So part of our training is, at later points, we've been going with organizations, we're going to be going through practical exercises to kind of show you how to do some of these things and to get a real training aspect to it. But as the last slide talked about, this is going to be a personal choice for you. If somebody were to walk in this room who's an active shooter or aggressor, it's going to be a choice for you. And then part of you, the human part of you, is going to think, well, I'm afraid that if I do it and then nobody else jumps in, then I'm just going to die. But I'm telling you, human nature is, when one starts, the rest follow, right? But it takes somebody to start that process. And it is going to be your own choice. But if you are to do it, Lieutenant Conway made a good point, and it's well overlooked, because people just think, I'm going to go for the leg, go for the gun hand. When you grab an arm, and we demonstrate this in other training scenarios, but when you grab an arm, you want to make sure that you grab that arm with both your arms close to your body, so you obtain leverage, and drop your weight and hold that arm. That's going to limit this person's movement. And we actually demonstrate this in other ones as well, is that when we do a swarm technique, when we have multiple people, one on each arm, one on each leg, I try to walk. They actually put their weight down, drop. I can't move. I fall forward. And that gets you to that point where you can stay there and wait, just hold them in that position, hold that person in that position, and wait for us to get there. They are not getting out of this kind of a hold when you have multiple people holding different limbs.
So how many people here have ever hit a golf ball? Yeah, come on. You guys all hit the golf ball on the green every time? No. How many people here have actually fired a weapon? First time you ever shot a weapon, dead center? Exactly where you wanted to put it? Not a chance, not a chance. None of us here that are even law enforcement even did that. The act of shooting is a physical and mental act. It takes a lot of practice, and it's absolutely a skill that can deteriorate over time. The process that it takes to shoot is just this: target acquisition, sight picture, sight alignment, trigger control, stance, grip, and breathing. This is the process of being able to shooting accurate. So when we disrupt that process and we're able to create distractions, what are we doing? We're creating time. What does that mean? More misses, more lives being saved. Absolutely.
The shooter just walks into a room, everybody's spread out, right, which is the way that we want it to be. I have to pick somebody. All right, that person. I have to orient myself to them. I have to have my stance. I have to have my firearm, make sure it has a good grip. I have to actually aim at that particular person, control my breathing, and decide to pull that trigger and pull that trigger. What happens if that person's moving, and all of a sudden I had those in mind and they moved? I got to do it all over again. And that's the idea of interrupting that Ooda Loop, is you're creating time, and they have to constantly keep reacquiring what they want to do.
So we talk about the inverse relationship between a highly skilled police officer who spends a significant amount of time at the range, really working and honing in their skills of being able to fire a weapon accurately. During a stressful environment under OIS situations, the police officer's hit rate are less than 30%. Now you have a low-skilled shooter, and most of these active aggressors, these shooters, that's exactly what they are. They're not trained, experienced fighters. This isn't Chris Kyle and American Sniper. These are very inexperienced shooters that have very little skill. Yet we've already said their hit rate is over 50% to 70%. Why is that?
Because they know what they're doing. They're crafted. They're coming in knowing what they want.
They're coming into an environment that is static. They're coming into an environment, much like you guys are seated here, to nothing, in an unexpected situation, and being able to go one by one by one by one without anybody really causing any disruption to their processes. What is this police officer doing? What kind of environment is he experiencing when he comes into a active, aggressive, active shooter environment? Yeah, exactly. So he's coming into an environment where people are screaming, people are yelling, people are dying, bleeding. And then eventually he gets to the shooter, right? So is that a stressful, dynamic, chaotic environment? Absolutely. What do you think would happen if we created a dynamic, chaotic environment for the shooter right now? What's going to happen to his hit rate? Absolutely. Absolutely, it drops. Where we're going to start seeing that less than 30% hit rate. And that's why we're saying no longer is it appropriate to just hide under desks and wait. What's appropriate is, by all means, if we can get the out, let's get out. But if we are forced to counter, again, there are methods to countering that just aren't about swarming and tackling. There are things that we can do to save lives. How many people have water bottles here right now? Yeah, she's got a nice Northwestern one. That would probably hurt if you hit me in the head with that. No matter how hard you threw that, that's going to hurt. But it's absolutely going to throw me off. If I'm sitting here aiming a weapon at you, and you were just to throw it at me, what's going to be my reaction? Whoa. And now it's offering what? It's offering time for her to make another decision, whether she can get out or maybe even possibly counter myself and swarm at me.
Does your advice change at all when someone's got an automatic weapon?
What's that?
When the shooter's got an automatic weapon?
Yeah, when the shooter has an automatic weapon, they can.
Just splatter.
Yeah, they can. But what you're still creating is you're creating a process of running. Rob said it before, was if you're hitting a leg or if you're hitting an extremity, your chances of survival are extremely high. By more often than not, when they have an automatic weapon, they're just picking people off. They're not really aiming. But if you're running around, they're not going to have time. They're just going to be spraying rounds. They might get a few on target, but they're not going to be as successful as if you're just sitting in a static location.
This is, not to get technical, and this is real life. An unexperienced person using an automatic weapon, it's going to look like this. Okay?
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen. They're not going to be able to aim. They're not going to be effective at what they're doing. And it does not change the Alice concept, the Alice approach. Automatic weapon, knife, handgun, compact the gunpowder in and load in a lead bullet. It doesn't change the concept and the approach. You want to have that same approach, and you want to handle it in the same method. Okay? They are, unlike movies too, they're not going to have unlimited bullets. They will run out really quickly.
I'm going to use you as a volunteer.
Okay.
Please, come on up.
Don't hurt me.
No, I won't. I will try not to.
Switch sides.
Yep.
Fight yourself.
We're going to play catch.
Take that. Thanks.
Oh, boy.
Okay? All right.
Oh, I'm
Nope.
sorry to get in front. Here you go. Yep. There you go.
What's your name? I'm sorry, man.
I'm Morgan.
Morgan. Ryan. Thank you. Nice to meet you as well. So Morgan and I are going to play catch. Rob's going to discuss with you the Ooda Loop process.
All right, so as they're playing catch, what she has to do is she has to observe the ball coming toward her. She has to orient herself and her hands to that ball. She has to decide that she wants to catch that ball, and then she has to act and catch that ball. And this process is going to go over and over again, and it's subconscious as it happens, and she doesn't even realize that it's happening, but it's happening. And as she redoes that OODA loop each and every time, what just happened? He almost hit me, but what just happened?
That was I was trying. Thank you, Morgan. I appreciate it. What did she do? She reacted, right? Was she able to catch the ball I threw to her? No, absolutely not. In fact, she didn't even try. So was I able to disrupt your process of physically catching that ball? I'll pass this around. Morgan, would this have hurt if I hit you with this?
The one you threw really hard?
Well, if I threw it really, I was aiming for Rob.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we're in trouble now.
But it would throw me off guard.
It would, and that's the whole point of these are disruption techniques that we can utilize, that children can utilize because they're all great at throwing things, and in the event that it offers time for you to make another decision. So in the event that you're not, again, the physical mindset that it takes to physically tackle or physically swarm somebody, the physical skill is extremely low. The mental preparation to do that act is extremely high. You have to be very mentally prepared to approach somebody and confront them physically. But to be able to throw somebody, it doesn't. It doesn't. And even if you miss, you're still throwing them off where they're now looking at that and not looking at you. Their sight alignment, their sight picture is now off. Then it's allowing you more time to make another decision on what to do.
It's a perfect example, and it's very simplistic, but perfect example of just how we respond to additional stimulus that we were not expecting, and how your body has to react to that. You missed the catch. I mean, perfect example of that.
We're going to watch another video.
Are you switching sides with me? I'll go back over there, or what?
Oh, .9 seconds. 2.9 seconds it took for the good guys to take back control in that event. Now, there are a lot of highly skilled individuals on scene that day, right? How many rounds do you think were fired by the good guys? None. Not one round fired. How many rounds were fired by the bad guy? Yeah, it was like three or four, I believe. It was three rounds being fired. Yet it took them 2.9 seconds to get that person under control using a swarm technique. Again, that technique, like I said, the physical act of being able to perform that is very low. It doesn't take a lot of physical skill, but your mental preparation absolutely has to be extremely high. Once you make the determination that you are going into this person to swarm this person, you're all in. There are no other, you're all in. You can't go half, you know what, into this matter and try to take control from this person. You have to go 100%.
They don't get any higher trained than the Secret Service, right? And if the Secret Service is incorporating this technique, which is a very simple gross motor skill technique, anybody can do it, okay? And it's effective, as you've seen right there. And just to touch on a previous slide, with the ball, right? It's a human instinct to go ahead and deflect when somebody throws something at you in a counter method. And you're going to automatically divert your eyes, and you have to go through that Ooda Loop. How much more would it be if I took a book to the face, right? Or a purse to the face, or a water bottle? I may get knocked out, or I'm going to get really injured. I may even retreat. You don't know, but nothing is off limits. Nothing is off the table when it comes to these situations.
All right, we're going to play a game. It's called the dot exercise, okay? Dr. Kyle and Dr. Shula, I don't know if you guys have participated in this, but you guys did. Mr. Kish, you're not allowed to participate in this either. All right, what I want you guys to do is I want you guys to count the number of blue dots that appear on the screen, okay? So you're going to see it, blue dots on the screen. You guys ready? How many? 11, right? Relatively easy. You might have lost track a little bit, but pretty much I think everybody got 11, right? All right, so now we're going to kick it up a notch. Now I want you guys to count the number of blue dots and the number of yellow dots individually, not collectively, individually. So I want you to tell me the number of blue dots and the number of yellow dots that appear on the screen. You guys ready?
A lot.
7 and 8. Oh, still running.
What did we get?
No idea.
14 and 16.
11 and 11. Close. You try to stick with it, right? Most people quit. Yeah. Most people quit, right? Why? It got hard. Yeah, it got hard. Your brain has a hard time multitasking, relative to speed and time. So instead of just trying to continue following these things, your brain just says, you know what, I'm going to stop. I'm just done. You know what, on to the next slide. That's the same that we're talking about with these counter techniques of being able to, run, distract. The brain of a shooter, the brain of an active assailant is going to have a hard time maintaining accuracy trying to follow these different dots around the room to the point where they may just quit, and that's the whole point of this exercise. They may just quit. So let me get a volunteer. Actually, Ryan, you're unfortunate because I know you.
And these guys are not expecting this, right? The expecting is that blue dot. Easy to count, easy to follow, one person doing what I expect them to do, easy to follow. That second slide.
You can stand right here. You're probably out of the way. Come on. Yep. So here.
That second slide is two or
you
more
got the laser
people
pointer?
doing something
All
that
right.
is not expected. Very
Go ahead
hard to
and face
keep
the
track
screen.
of.
Yep. Ryan, what I'm going to do, you got the laser pointer? Yeah, just hold it down.
Which one is it?
The top one. That one. Yep. So Ryan, I'm going to play a slide similar to the first one. All right. You're going to see blue dots. What I want you to. What's that? Yeah. You good? Yeah. All right, Ryan. What I want you to do is follow the blue dot with your laser pointer. Got it? Yep. You ready? Maybe. Hang on. Oh wait, I got to use that because that's connected. Sorry. I got to use this one. You ready?
Yep.
Oh no, is it frozen? I might. There we go. Here you go. You want to start over? All right, I kind of gauged them off a little bit, right? But what happened?
He couldn't follow.
No way. No way. Would you? There's not a chance you were going to follow that. You might have been all right at first, but as soon as that lady started screaming, oh, good, thank you. As soon as that lady started screaming, was he going to be able to follow that? No. That blue dot? Not a chance. And in fact, he even gets thrown off a little bit because it distracted him, right? It might even frightened him a little bit. But that's the whole point. There are things that you can do outside of, again, being a personal choice of swarming somebody. There are things that we can do that's going to cause a distraction technique to an assailant that's going to raise the survivability level.
It doesn't matter if you run in circles in the corner screaming to yourself. The guy's coming in. What's happening right there? You know what I mean? You're doing something. You are distracting. You are causing a distraction. You are creating time. You're allowing other people to go, should we counter? He's distracted. Should we evacuate? Whatever it is, you're creating that time. So it becomes an option. And so it doesn't matter what you're doing as long as you're doing something. This person is walking into the room expecting people to lock down, to huddle, and to just stay there and be a target. When you're not doing that, it's sensory overload for them. What do I do? How do I do it now? I'm not completing my purpose. Maybe I'm just going to run out of here and try it again another day. I'm going to try to run. Something is better than nothing.
Yeah.
So as there's this momentary pause here, like I said, everyone gets to make their own decision, and that's the great thing about this program. It's common sense, it's easy to remember, and it makes you understand that there is no wrong answer, but there are many answers, and you get to pick which answer is best for you in that particular situation. And everyone's going to make their own choice, but some people will be responsible for children. We talked about this as well, where if you're responsible for children, you have to make choices for them as well. But you do have choices. It is not just turn off the lights and lock down. That's the great thing about this. It's empowering and it's refreshing to know that we have options.
So lastly, we're going to talk about evacuate. Now, if you guys were to see a fire or smell smoke, what's your first reaction? Evacuate, right? If you were to smell gas in this specific location right now, what are you going to do? Get out. Why are we telling everybody to stay in a place of danger during an active shooter incident? Why are we telling people to stay in a place of danger during an active shooter incident?
If they got out there, they're armed bigger target if you get to
Not necessarily. If you can get yourself to a place of safety, has specific rally points identified. If we can evacuate, evacuation is absolutely the best option. Always is. And I'm talking about getting yourself to a place of safety in between in between the danger and brick and mortar. And I'm not saying, right here, right now, a lot of people would say, well, I would run at Adams Park. Adams Park's a big field. Is that safety? Is that secure? No. But what do we have? We have parking garages. We have City Hall. We have the train depot. We have, Gary Methodist Church. We have all kinds of different entities that we can utilize to get ourselves to a place of safety that's going to get us away to danger. And I'm talking about cover, not concealment. There's a difference, right? Cover, we're talking about something that's going to offer you ballistic, cover, ballistic capabilities, barring you from being injured. Cover or concealment is just going to, conceal you. You're still capable of taking on, ballistic fire. And that's the main point of knowing your surroundings. We need to empower people to evacuate. We need to make these people understand that if evacuation is the best choice to get out of danger, absolutely do that and be empowered to make that decision and give that ability to everybody.
If you haven't thought of it, back in your own place where you work, where you visit frequently, think of places that you would go if something were to happen. And organizations should be talking as a group of, we need to decide that where's the best place to go in this type of event. Because like Lieutenant Conway said, we can't just go out and huddle in a field because that makes a great target for this person. We need to create some distance and separate ourselves with brick and mortar, with cement, with other things that will block rounds from being fired. Now, that being said, with vehicles, right, you're thinking, okay, let me get in my vehicle and leave. Absolutely not. Do not take your vehicle. Reason being, we're coming with all of our friends, which means probably 150 other police officers, not to mention all the fire personnel, and we need to be able to get to that scene. So if it is bogged down by people trying to leave and all the roads are gridlocked, we're not going to be as effective as we need to be. Also, forget about your belongings, right? Your computer, my MacBook. This person didn't come here to steal things, first off, right? That's not their goal. But either way, things are replaceable. You're not. Leave it all. Unless you have it with you, like your cell phone or you need it for 911, leave it.
Yeah, a lot of the questions that I get is, what should if I'm evacuating, what should my response be to law enforcement? Until we know that that threat is entirely secured or that threat is eliminated, we're not going to stop and get your name and try to check for, injuries or anything along those lines. Our main focus, our number one objective is to eliminate that threat. So run. If you have a cell phone, refrain from pointing that cell phone. Hold your hands up if you encounter a law enforcement. But we talk about, fire drills. What do you think the time frame is for a successful, fire drill in a school in an orderly fashion? It's about 2 minutes. It gets a little better with time, right, Doctor? As the school year goes on. But an Alice evacuation needs to be even faster. And I'm talking about as fast as you can run, as fast as you can get out. Fire escapes, absolutely fair game. Don't worry about, the fire alarm's going to go off. Nobody's going to be coming after you for opening up a fire escape. Every option that you have available to you to get out of the building that you're in is absolutely afforded to you at this time. I know she had one real quick, man.
Because you said, you named some buildings and places near here, but
Yep.
I would think that if they heard there was an active shooter, like in the library, for example, they would lock their doors.
Some places might, and they might. If they hear that, they might have a lockdown, but are you still capable of getting yourself out of the area, away from the danger, to a place of safety? Absolutely. And that's why I said you have the parking garage, that's a great location. You have the train depot, great location. Those are places that are always going to be open. You're right, City Hall, Gary Methodist Church, they have schools. So they may not, if we're coming to that, we may lock those down. May not be the best place. I'm just giving you examples of specific rally points that are necessary.
Don't expect this lockdown to work. Remember, glass doors are easily defeated. People can get in real world situations, and it happens all the time. I can break that glass door easily and walk right into a facility.
Yes,
If you're in an open area, let's say a parking lot where there's a shooter there, or like a park or something, is it good to like maybe hide under a car?
See, what's funny that you mentioned that, because in Las Vegas, people that were there that had gone through Alice, they said, even though people were telling me to hide, I knew it was the only thing I could do was run and get out. If you're in an open place, you saw what happened in Mandalay Bay. When people just hid and they just try to go under tables or something along those lines, majority of the time they were the ones that lost their lives. But the people that ran, they ran far. Some people ran into the airport in Las Vegas. But they all said, I knew I needed to run. I knew I needed to get myself to a place of safety because that specific location was not safe. There was nothing between danger, and themselves, brick and mortar that's going to offer any ballistic shielding.
Generally, open areas require that they evacuate. Evacuate is the only real option available. So you want to,
Hide under a
no, you want to evacuate and create space, create distance, keep moving, get out of the area that we consider like a kill zone. Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's something that you want to think about. Cars aren't. There are certain parts of the car that are, will provide some shielding, but for the most part, they will not stop rounds from going through them.
Yeah, but I was thinking if you're that low under a car, people
Rounds
are
can
gonna
skip.
see you.
Rounds can
Yeah.
skip, and unfortunately, if a person has, if they're at a higher location, they may be able to come down on you.
it's always
and
best to
rounds skip
evacuate.
often. So, yes, ma'am.
Are most active shooter situations a single individual?
More often than not, yes. Actually, a high percentage of active shooters. This last one was actually the anomaly where you actually saw 2 active shooters. Most active shooter events are, statistically higher as single shooter events.
And that doesn't change how you're gonna approach it or we approach it. It changes a little bit for us, but for you, same concepts apply. The more important part of this is the informing people that there's more than one
might
and
be
where
one
they're at
more,
if you
yeah.
can do that. And again, your imagination is the limit here. If you're evacuating or you feel like, for you feel like the best way is I need to go up in an air duct and we have to come pull you out with the FD when it's all over, you get 2 points for creativity for being in that air duct, right? It's whatever that you can think of, but you have choices instead of just sitting there and waiting.
So we're going to open up. Is there any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
So I assume that the concept is the same if you're outside.
Yes.
You do a lot of events outside,
Yes.
so you don't have doors and things to.
Yeah, and that's what's great about Alice is this. These are transferable skills. These are transferable skills not just for schools, but if you're at a movie theater, if you're outside, if you're out shopping, at the mall or something along those lines, you could absolutely use these methods no matter where you are. They're transferable.
Sorry, real quick on that one, because you're talking about outside, if you just go through Alice, you think, well, I can't lock down, and I probably can't counter unless I am this close to him. He pulls a gun right here, I'm going to counter, right? Otherwise, I'm going to evacuate. That's my best choice, and I'm going to alert people and inform people as I evacuate. So yeah, it's all situational on where you're at. Yes, sir.
My question was, are there any suggestions from Alice that carry over to combined vehicles? Like if you're on a train that's moving, you're in an airplane, you're on a bus, not one that's stationary, but one that's moving.
That's great because it's critical thinking, and you got to understand of the environment that you're in. In a train, I probably can't really barricade.
Yeah.
I
Well,
probably can't evacuate.
You look at United 93, right? What did those people do? They decided to take back control, and that was part of that. You may not be you might not have any other option. There might be only one option for you, but what this is allowing you to do is have options. Even if it's just one option, you're not a sitting duck and just waiting for something to happen. You're taking back control and being able to possibly thwart that threat.
Yes, ma'am, you had a question?
Well, if you have a weapon, like
Conceal and carry.
conceal and carry,
Mhm.
if you shoot the shooter, then are you a hero or are you a criminal?
That's a good question because people think that way. First off, everyone's going to make their own decision when it comes to an event where this is a legitimate event. If I am a conceal and carry holder, what we recommend is that if you do use the firearm or you have the firearm in your hand, at some point when we're coming, put that away.
Don't.
Right?
Yeah.
Once you take back control, put that away.
Yes.
Okay? I'm not going to give legal advice, but in my eyes, if you intervene on an active shooter who's hurting people, you're a hero. You know what I mean? You don't have to, don't think in your head that you're going to be looked at as like a criminal for something like that.
And I don't conceal or carry.
Absolutely. But it's an individual choice for everyone that everyone has to make, whether or not they want to use that weapon. But just understand what we're looking for when we come in. And the last thing that we want is to, encounter an innocent person not realizing that they're innocent. So.
Well, you guys have been absolutely fantastic. I hope you guys got something out of this. You know, like I said, the Wheaton Police Department is taking this very seriously, so if there's any questions or anything along those lines, please feel free to give us a call. Appreciate you guys, and thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.